This is different. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave from Chase the Summit. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Wahoo Element Rival. The Wahoo Element Rival is Wahoo's first entry into the wearable fitness tech market. They're certainly not new to the fitness tech market as a whole. They make bike trainers and they make sensors and heart rate sensors and all kinds of other stuff. But this is their first entry into the wearable market with a GPS watch. And it's pretty clever what they did with the name here, the Element Rival, because it's pretty obvious who their target is here. And it rhymes with Schmarmin. So, does the Wahoo Element stand a chance in an already flooded GPS watch market? Let's find out. Before we get into it, if you enjoy this video or you just find it funny, please give me a thumbs up down below. I really appreciate it. And if you don't want to miss more videos from me in the future, make sure you whack that subscribe button down below. It really helps out my channel. And finally, make sure you head over to Instagram and follow me over there too, because I have no followers because I just made a new account, and that would just make me feel better. And finally, if you are interested in the Wahoo Element Rival or any watch that I show in this video, I will have links down in the description where you can pick one up. Those are affiliate links. They do help support my channel, but it costs nothing extra to you. Without further ado, let's get into the Wahoo Element Rival. I'm not going to bore you with an unboxing in this video, but I do want to show you the box because it's kind of interesting. If you open up the front flap here, you can see it says never lose focus, with a guy swimming, biking, and running. So triathletes. I am certainly no triathlete. I am primarily just a runner, so keep that in mind as you go through this video. And Wahoo did send this out to me for the purpose of this review. I didn't pay for it. I was kind of surprised they did because I'm not a triathlete, but I'm happy they did. Thanks, Wahoo. This is not a sponsored video though, so I'm allowed to give you my full and unbiased opinion, and that's what I'm gonna do. Let's take a look at the actual device and what it comes with. This is what you get in the box. You get the Wahoo Element watch itself, and then you get the little cradle charger. They didn't opt for an approach like Garmin with that, plug-in port in the back. This is kind of the old school style where it's a cradle that mounts the watch to the back of it. And the charger is actually low profile enough, you can see there, that it could be worn while you're charging it, which is an advantage to a lot of ultra runners. It is a really nice looking watch. It's very minimalist, but also has that kind of classy look to it. It does look a lot like a Garmin Fenix 6, like the middle of the range 47mm version. It's got a ceramic bezel around the front here that feels really nice and durable, and even though it's shiny, it doesn't really pick up fingerprints too easily, so I like that. The lens material is Gorilla Glass. It's not totally scratch proof, but it is durable enough to, use trail running or hiking or whatever. The button layout is a 5-button configuration that you'll find on a lot of fitness watches like this. The back and sides of the Wahoo Element Rival are made completely out of plastic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It does add to its lightweight nature. This watch comes in at just 53 grams, which is very light for a watch of this size. As a comparison, the Garmin Fenix 6S that I have here is 61 grams, and it's much smaller. Around the back is where you'll see that optical heart rate sensor along with the pogo pin connector for charging. The included band of the watch is very stretchy. It is silicone, it's very comfortable, and it does have a quick release system where you can just pop it off with your fingernail. The watch is a 46.5mm diameter, so that's in line with a lot of mid-range sports watches. And of course, being a triathlon watch, this watch is waterproof down to 50 meters. The buttons are plastic, which kind of makes it feel a little cheap, but overall it has a really nice build quality, and I have no complaints with the hardware and the looks of it. And here's what the Wahoo Element Rival looks like on my wrist. For reference, I have like a 165mm diameter wrist, or 16.5 centimeter. This is a large watch, but I could totally pull this off as a daily driver. It's pretty comfortable. It looks nice. In terms of battery life, the Wahoo Element Rival can last up to 2 weeks in smartwatch or standby mode, and up to 24 hours with GPS mode. So your home screen is a basic watch face. You can customize this to a certain extent in the app, but there's not a whole lot of options. It gives you your time, your date, your battery percentage, your current heart rate, and also your step count for the day. You can use the left and right lower buttons to push simultaneously to toggle the watch face to something else. I think this is just a lower power state watch face, so you have the option of going back and forth. So the first widget is your activity. This is actually like being in an activity all the time. If you're in the Garmin ecosystem, basically that state where it's ready to go. It's kind of cool. You can jump right into an activity if you want to go from your watch face. You don't have to go like into the menu, hit activity, hit run, and then hit start. You just hit this lower button one time, hit start, and you're ready to go. The watch remembers your last activity. So for me, it was a treadmill run yesterday, and you can see up in the top right here. If you click the lower right button one more time, it'll bring you to the next widget, which for me is the heart rate page. This shows your last 2 hours of heart rate activity along with your current heart rate and your average for the day. The widgets are also somewhat customizable, and I'll show you that when we get to the phone app. From this page, if you click this top right button, which for me has the treadmill icon, this will bring you into your activity selection menu. By default, there's a whole bunch of activities to scroll through. It's got treadmill, lap swimming, open water swimming, cycling, kicker, which is interesting because it's another one of their products that you can control from the watch. That's pretty cool. strength training, yoga, triathlon, running. Back to running. I said that twice. I'm going to start my run. I'll say start anyways because I don't have GPS inside this building. And the home screen here, I've got 3 fields. You can see I've got a timer at the top here. I've got my pace in the middle, and then I've got distance at the bottom. And if I want to toggle how many fields I can see at a time, I can push these 2 lower buttons at the same time, and you can see I can get up to 6 data fields at a time, which is pretty nice, and it's pretty easy to see. And if I click one of these buttons here, I can toggle it through the various screens. So here I've got my heart rate graph. These data fields can be fully customized in the app. You can pick and choose what you want to see here, and you can also add other pages if you need to have more data. From the watch face, if you hold the lower left button here, that'll bring you into the menu, and this has options for timers, adding sensors. This watch supports ANT+ and Bluetooth smart sensors. That can be a heart rate sensor, a power sensor, whatever. You can also choose to broadcast your heart rate. That's good if you're on a treadmill or you play Zwift or whatever. You've got your activity history here, which just shows your previous runs. You've got options for do not disturb, stopwatch, you can power off the watch, and of course you've got your system options here. The system options are where you set up like basic functions like time and date or factory reset the watch. You can display your phone's notifications on this watch. There's a little icon in the top right corner here, and if you push this button, it brings you into your notifications menu. I don't have any currently, so it's not showing any, but if I did, they'd be here. And that's about it in terms of what's on the watch firmware. Couple of things. One thing I noticed missing is you cannot adjust the brightness of the watch, and by default, I don't know if you've noticed, it's a pretty dim screen. For instance, here's my Garmin Fenix 6 here on the right, and both backlights are on currently, and you can see that, yeah, it's just a little bit dim. In terms of features on the watch itself, it's pretty limited. You can't do a lot of customization on the watch itself. You have to use the phone app for that, so let's look at the phone app. Here we've got the Wahoo Element Rival phone app. The phone app was actually really nice. To pair the watch to the phone was very simple. It just displayed a barcode on the watch, and then you scan it with the phone camera and it's ready to go pretty quickly. From the homepage, you've got options for your current activity and also the ability to pair a sensor. Clicking on the history tab is display of your previous runs, rides, or whatever. At the top here, you've got an odometer for all of your runs. Swiping over shows the running for the week. Swiping over again shows workout time for the week. And then swiping again shows your steps for the week. If you click on a particular activity, at the top you get a little map. Scrolling down, you get all of your other stats, including the distance run, elevation gain, moving time. You've got a really nicely displayed pace graph here. Scrolling down again, you've got elevation gain and descent. There's a nicely displayed heart rate graph with your max and min heart rate. And then you've got a heart rate zone graph at the bottom here. And I didn't have my zone set up correctly, so it shows that I was in my peak zone the entire run. But that's just my fault, not the app's fault. Below that, you've got a cadence graph, and then finally there's a laps and splits display. In the top right corner, there's a little settings icon, and if you click that, you can turn on or off any of the fields in that summary display. You can also reorder those however you want. And to the right of that, there's a little share icon that lets you email or save a fit file, or you can send it over to any app like Strava that you want. The next page is the profile page, and that's where you set up your height and weight and age and all that stuff, as well as set up your heart rate zones and your power zones. The final page is the settings, where you can go in and customize all of the data pages in your activities. So you can see here there's a list of activities that I already have on the watch, but if there was something that I wanted to add, I could click this add workout profile. I could use a template, duplicate one, or create my own. Another unique feature about the Wahoo Element Rival is it does actually have a live track function, and not a lot of other brands are doing this. I think only Garmin does it right now. This will allow you to share a link with your friends and family so they can follow you while you're out riding or running. It's actually really cool, and I'm glad they did that. It kind of sets them apart in this way. It's interesting because overall this experience with the Wahoo Element Rival is very simple. There's not a ton of features here, but they have this live track function which a lot of other brands aren't doing. You can also customize the watch face from 4 selections and pick the accent color here. And here's where you manage the widgets that you find on the watch. You can see there's battery status, heart rate, steps, workout calories, weekly workout time, weekly cycling distance, weekly run distance, weekly swim distance, and a world clock. There's also a selection in the settings menu here called My 24/7 Data, where I can connect the Wahoo Element Rival app directly to Apple Health. This is good because I don't know if you've noticed yet, there's actually no way to track your progress over time. Even on my history tab, I can swipe through and see my running for the week or the steps or workout time for the week, but you don't see it for month or year. So if you want to track your steps over a longer period of time, you're going to want to connect this to your Apple Health account or some other account. That's the Wahoo app in a nutshell. It does a lot, and there's a lot of customization there, and I like to see the live track function is there, but there is a lot missing. like some kind of training load or recovery advisor. Like that stuff just isn't there. There's no estimated VO2 max or anything like that. There's no workout plans or calendar or like strength training workouts or anything like that. There's no sleep tracking. You can't track your sleep with this watch. There's no trends for steps or stairs climbed or anything like that. And while the watch does track 24/7 heart rate data, there's not a lot you can do with it in the app. Now that we've gone through the interface and the phone app to the Element Rival, let's take a look at some of the data to see how accurate it is. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the Wahoo Element Rival in orange, the Garmin Forerunner 945 in blue, and my phone with the Polar Beat app running in red. You can see where the Element does an okay job on straight shots, but as soon as we get to a corner, the Element Rival goes way off in the distance on this corner. You can see on this corner here, the Wahoo Element Rival and my phone are actually the most accurate, whereas the 945 drifts off into the woods a little bit. It's definitely not horrible, it's totally usable, it's just not perfect. Now let's take a look at heart rate accuracy. What you're looking at here is the Wahoo Element Rival in red, my Garmin Forerunner 945 in purple, and the Polar Beat app on my iPhone 12 in gray. That Polar Beat app is connected to the Polar H9 chest strap, which is on my chest, so it should be super accurate compared to the other two devices. We'll use that gray line as a baseline for comparison. You can see that the Element Rival is actually doing pretty good here with the red line compared to my Garmin Forerunner 945, which is not doing very good here. This is actually a really bad performance from the 945 compared to what I've seen before, but it is what it is. The Element Rival is matching the gray line a lot better than my 945. And generally, throughout the entire run, there's really no points where the Element Rival goes way off the tracks. You can see here I actually stopped to walk for a little bit to see if I could drop my heart rate and jack it back up again. The Polar H9 picks it up and the Wahoo Element Rival is right behind it, so it did a really good job here. Even the 945 did a decent job here, but the Element Rival is definitely beating out the Forerunner 945 in this comparison. So generally speaking, through the runs that I've done so far with the Element Rival, it has pretty good heart rate accuracy. That actually surprised me about the Element Rival, because if you look at the back here, there's only one LED and one receiver for the heart rate sensor. But they did do something clever. There's actually a little dome shape to it, and I think that does help with the optics when it's trying to see through your skin. Let's talk about the final topic in this video, price. The Wahoo Element Rival comes in at $379, which for a watch designed like this with this rugged appearance is actually not a bad price. But when you look at the feature set, it's kind of hard to swallow. Hang on, let me get some competitors. So if we take a look at my table right now, we've got some of the competition. You've got the Polar Grit X, you've got the Garmin Instinct Solar, you've got the Coros Apex and Apex Pro, you've got the Coros Pace 2, and even the Apple Watch. All of these devices are in that $379 to $430 price point, and the Coros Pace 2 comes in at just $200. And all these other watches on the table have some sort of like fitness index or estimated VO2 max. They do sleep tracking. They do a bunch of other stuff on top of just tracking activity. I mean, there's just way more features. Even on something like the Coros Pace 2, which is just $200 and doesn't have a lot of features in itself, it still has more features than the Wahoo Element Rival. So who's the Wahoo Element Rival for? I think the Wahoo Element Rival is for triathletes primarily, and that's pretty obvious, but it's also for triathletes who already use other Wahoo stuff. So if you have a Wahoo Kicker bike trainer, for instance, this might be good for you because you can control it from the watch and it's all integrated. So that's really the only market I could see this thing doing well in right now. I think my main thought on this is the Wahoo Element Rival feels just a little bit rushed. The hardware is actually really nice and has a ton of potential. And if Wahoo starts rolling out firmware updates and making this thing a lot more capable, that would be really good to see. I think another person that might be interested in the Wahoo Element Rival is someone who just doesn't like all the features of the other watches. If you don't want maps and music and recovery time and training plans and all that stuff built into your watch, and you don't want a ton of menu options and it's all very overwhelming for you, the Wahoo Element Rival might be a good buy for you. It looks cool, it's got good battery life, the app is very simple, the connection's reliable. It's been pretty good in that aspect. So if you want something really simple, this might be a good buy for you. But for everybody else, I'd wait a little bit to see if they roll out more features. Okay, that's about all I have to say about the Wahoo Element Rival and what I think about it so far. And I'm curious what you think about the Wahoo Element Rival. Let me know in the comments down below if you're interested in picking one up or you're just staying away from it. And if you are interested in picking one up, I will have links down in the description with the best pricing available. Those are affiliate links. They do help support my channel. They cost nothing extra to you. And once again, if you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give me a thumbs up down below and whack that subscribe button so you don't miss more videos from me in the future. I think that's it. I'll see you in the next one.